ऑलराइट, सो आप सबका स्वागत है एक और लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग में। आज हम फिर से खेल रहे हैं वैम्पायर। तो कल यहीं से छोड़ा था और यहीं से स्टार्ट करेंगे दोबारा। और थैंक यू सो मच गाइस फॉर ऑल योर सपोर्ट। और बस अब उसको ढूंढना है जिसने हमें वैम्पायर बनाया है, बाकी सब तो ठीक है। अभी मैं सोच रहा था डिट्रॉइट बिकम ह्यूमन भी खेलूं, लेकिन मैंने कहा पहले ये खेल तो फिर डिट्रॉइट बिकम ह्यूमन खेलता हूँ। भाई क्या किसको बना दिया? ओ तेरी
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
आया एक और आया। ये मार खाने के लिए आते हैं।
Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. These scowls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
शमिताब पता नहीं किसको ढूंढना है। रूक स्कल थिंक किसी बंदे के बाद। ये क्या कर रहा है? ओए सारे ही मार खाने के लिए आ रहे। ओ तेरी मर जा। ये लगी 1 2 तो आज मैंने कहा थोड़ा जल्दी लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग करते हैं, तो अब मेरे रोज़ा भी बड़ा लग रहा है। 4 बज गए। इस टाइम मुझे भूख बहुत सख्त लग रही है, लेकिन मैंने कहा भूख मिटाने के लिए तो थोड़ी गेम खेल लो, तो मैंने कहा वैम्पायर खेलते हैं। पीछे पता नहीं कौन पे करने लगा हुआ है। एक तो मैं जब भी ये लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग करता हूँ ना, किसी न किसी को कीड़ा होता है, वो शोर मचाने लग जाते हैं। मैं कह रहा था कि कल मेरी नई वीडियो आ रही है जो रोस्ट वीडियो है, तो
Mr. Connor's
तैयार
injuries
रहना।
don't match the report. I'd better look into this.
एक्चुअली वो मैंने पहले ही रिकॉर्ड कर ली थी, लेकिन एडिटिंग में थोड़ा टाइम लग गया, तो
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps?
ड्रग्स दे दिए।
The chest was originally open to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then, he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made... It's locked. It's locked. It's all right.
अबे ये क्या है? ये हमें मारो। ये तेरी आजा। क्या फाइट हो रही है?
These scowls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
सेंसेस यूज करो यहाँ पे। यहाँ आंटी भी बैठी है। अननोन अननोन। इसको देखो। डॉक्टर साहब हमारी मदद करोगे? अबे हॉस्पिटल में कैसा हॉस्पिटल है?
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
अबे मैं डॉक्टर नहीं हूँ।
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
Diseases. कैसे diseases? A rat in the hospital. Chapter 2. Mission update.
Circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes. Thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Do you require medical attention as well, Mrs. Goswick?
I have other concerns right now, Doctor. But I'm fine, thank you.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
This hospital seems to be...
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Your life in London, personal question. I think personal question पूछनी चाहिए इससे.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
तुम burden नहीं हो तो बताओ. Give medicine, don't give medicine. I think give medicine.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Personal question. Life in...
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
It's locked, all right.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
World big comfort. This is...
I'm a dead man. I was murdered. Now I'm a murderer. Tell me how this is a gift.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
This is not abusing. I don't need to apologize.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relationship.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
पता नहीं क्या क्या चल रहा है, डॉक्टर से भी पूछ रहा है, पता नहीं कहाँ कहाँ भटक रहा है अपनी बहन के बदले के लिए, और पता नहीं क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा। कुछ भी करने को तैयार है ये, बस उसको ढूंढना है जिसने हमें वैम्पायर बनाया। तो ये क्या आ गया, सिटीजन मैन में वो काफ़ी बंदे खुल चुके हैं। काफी बंदे अनलॉक भी हो चुके हैं। अब देखना ये यार ढूंढता किस तरह और क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा। अभी तो काफी कुछ उसकी खोज चल रही है, अभी तो काफी पता करना है। चूहे खा खा जिंदा है ये।
Daily routine.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Do you require my
I have no need for your...
Rich blood क्यों चाहिए? All blackmailing.
Have you heard of any blackmailing going on within these walls?
I have no time for mortal games. My secrets are beyond their comprehension, Dr. Reed.
उसने साफ साफ कह दिया भाई साहब, our business is our business, none of yours.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities. Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How close are you to Miss Hawcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty.
अबे इसको कोई पानी पूनी दो, ये मरने
Aren't you
वाला हुआ
afraid?
है।
She may
मरने की
hurt
बात
you
आई
if the
तो
game
मेरे को बहुत
goes too
प्यास लग
far.
रही है।
She's quite harmless, I
रोजा
can
लग
assure
रहा है।
you.
ओए ओए।
Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
अच्छा मैं सोच रहा हूँ कॉल ऑफ ड्यूटी वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 ना खेलूँ, क्या इरादा है? वो मैंने गेम तो ले ली हुई है, मेरे पास पड़ी हुई है, उसका वॉक थ्रू करते हैं, क्या कहते हो?
So do you let her
कमेंट में
bite
बताओ
you?
मुझे को।
You know
वैसे
that's
भी
not
ये
sensitive.
और डेट्रॉइट
And why
बिकम
not?
ह्यूमन खत्म
She's
करेंगे, फिर
only
मेरे पास
supping
एक
a
और
few
गेम भी
drops
है,
of my blood.
वो
And the
भी
pain,
खेलेंगे।
it's real
और
for
उसके साथ
once.
साथ ही
She
करते पहले
could
ये खत्म
decide to
करें
bite
दोनों
less
गेम, फिर
willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Thomas Elwood.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening.
I need blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues.
कोंगुलेशन ब्लड को थोड़ा है स्किल्स बढ़ रही हैं हमारी फास्ट एग्रीजन, हार्ड बाइटिंग। ओके, ये भी स्किल, हार्ड बाइटिंग की काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्किल बढ़ गई। हम किसी को काटते बड़ा अच्छा है, इसकी स्किल्स बढ़ गई हैं। ऑलराइट, सो फास्ट रिकग्निशन क्या है? इंग्लिश लेसन विद जमीर बट फिजिकल प्रोग्रेस, ये भी हमारी स्किल बढ़ रही है। वाह, पैसों से स्किल्स बढ़ती हैं। वाह, अगर असल ज़िंदगी में ऐसा होता पैसों से स्किल्स बढ़ती, क्या मज़ा ही आया था। काफ़ी बंदे अनलॉक हो चुके हैं, 4 1 2 3 4 5 6 बंदे रहते हैं अनलॉक होने वाले। मेजर डिस्ट्रिक्ट इवेंट्स, द मोर लिव्स यू टेक द अनहेल्दियर आर डिस्ट्रिक्ट बिकम्स। काफ़ी ज़्यादा बंदे मिल गए, आधे ज़्यादा तो हॉस्पिटल बने हैं, पागल ही मिले हैं सारे। हेल्थ स्टेटस 96%। ये क्ले कॉक्स ब्लड क्वालिटी, हमको ब्लड चाहिए। ऑलराइट, सो कहाँ पर आ चुके हैं? पेम्ब्रोक हॉस्पिटल स्टैच। क्राफ्ट कौन कौन से यूज टेक अपग्रेड, अपने वेपन्स को अपग्रेड कर रहे हैं। करो भाई करो। करना बनता है। भागो। लेकिन जो भी हुआ है इस बंदे के साथ बहुत बुरा हुआ है। हॉस्पिटल फुल, दिन में बेचारा निकल नहीं सकता बेचारा, क्या दिन के सारे मजे खराब। ये वाई क्या बना है इसके पास? हम कौन मर गया? इमली, और वाली इमली, वो तो उधर भी नहीं मिल रही।
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
So it seems our Dr. Swansea does indeed have a fascination for creatures of our constitution.
Dr. Swansea is a remarkable man. Dedicated, one might say, obstinate? He spent years compiling our bestiary.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you, a kindred spirit?
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
We both are afflicted with a thirst for blood, Lady Ashbury. That is our nature. By vocation, we also have reason to visit the hospital. Logic dictates.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.
Another night with the glorious battalion of Pembroke. Damn. The pain.
What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Dr. Swansea गायब हो गया, मर गया Dr. Swansea. तुम मेरे से बात करो.
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly qualified. I'm just back from war duty.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet Jones.
Harriet Jones? Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many violent undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
You seem to know more about the goings-on here than anyone else. Beware, Miss Jones, in case suspicion should fall on you.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm. I see those little bitches' greedy little eyes. Just waiting for me to pop off, they are.
You like gossip?
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical error.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something to go on. See you on the next round.
The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts? The bartender from the Turtle. I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest, and then I can go back to the people who need me.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
अजीबोगरीब सी स्टोरियां चल रही हैं इसको कुछ मिल नहीं रहा Why?
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
कितने सवाल पूछता है ये, कितने बंदे को तंग कर देता है ये.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones. Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm fine, really. I just need to sleep.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke without...
What can you tell me?
Let me guess.
क्या हो रहा है?
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Another night with the glorious battalion of Pembroke.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true.
कुछ बताओ.
Famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in this hospital?
I have no time for such triviality, my dear colleague. We're here to save lives.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses here?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Do you know if any of the hospital staff have criminal backgrounds?
The people who work here all come from very different backgrounds, Doctor. Just like the patients.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them? Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
अबे यार क्या बकवास है, हर किसी से बातें करी जा रहा है। टट्टू गेम है मैं क्या यार, इससे अच्छा डेट्रॉइट बिकम ह्यूमन ही खेल लेता। बकवास डब्बा गेम, डब्बा 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 गेम डब्बा।
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Penbrook years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think you can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett in our situation?
बकवास तरीन की गेम है कोई, मेरे को लगा था मजा आएगा।
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
नहीं है वो डॉक्टर, डॉक्टर डॉक्टर।
I've decided that I won't reveal Dr. Tippett's, shall we say, misdemeanor.
I'm so glad you share my point of view. Dr. Tippett is a brilliant practitioner. We most definitely need his know-how.
I hope you're right. This is a huge risk we're taking.
Dr. Tippett must regain his confidence. Please, keep this decision between you and me. He doesn't need to know you found out.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Another night with the glorious battalion of Pembroke.
Blood boil with the fever.
लड़ा भी नहीं जाता, कैसे लड़ा है और इसको चक मार देगा हाड़ी किसी को मुंह पे। हाँ यार मैं गेम बंद कर रहा हूँ, बकवास गेम डब्बा, स्टोरी नहीं आगे बढ़ रही। बकवास गेम। यार मैं यही पे गेम बंद कर रहा हूँ, अबे क्या हुआ? तो तुम लोगों को मज़ा तो आया नहीं होगा, बट फिर भी अगर आया है कहीं पे भी तो लाइक करो। वैसे मुझे नहीं लगता कहीं मज़ा आया होगा, गेम तो बकवास है यार।
You're sure you don't come back with me?
थोड़ी सी और खेल ले तो
I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
बस यार मैं गेम बंद कर रहा हूँ यार, लाफिस मुझे भूख भी लग रही है, खाना तो नहीं खाऊंगा लेकिन लेट जाऊंगा। इफ्तारी के बाद मैं खेलूंगा डेट्रॉइट बिकम ह्यूमन, ये तो बकवास गेम है। बाकी मिलते हैं अगले लाइव स्ट्रीम में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय, टेक केयर, एंजॉय।